The loan I never knew existed. Some betrayals hit your bank account. Some hit your heart. This one hit both, and it shattered every illusion I had about my parents. Backhand index pointing right before we begin, subscribe, because this story spirals fast. Most people turn 25 and start feeling like real adults. Responsibilities. Career pressure. Life decisions. Becoming independent. But at 25, I learned something far more shocking. My parents were never the loving, supportive people I thought they were. They weren't proud of me. They weren't rooting for me. They weren't guiding me. They were using me. Weaponizing me. Planning behind my back. And it all started with a letter, one I didn't ask for, didn't expect, and didn't understand. A letter from a bank I had never heard of. Your loan payment is overdue. Loan? Payment? What loan? I stared at the envelope like it was addressed to the wrong universe. Inside was a bill totaling $45,327.19. My hands shook. I don't have loans. I've never applied for one. I barely qualified for a credit card at 22, and even that one has a $1,000 limit. So why was I being billed for $45,000? My mind raced. Identity theft? A bank mistake? A scam? I dialed the number on the letter. A robotic voice placed me on hold. My heart pounded as violins played through the speaker. Finally, a human voice came on. Thank you for calling Golden Creek Financial. Can I verify your identity? Identity? I swallowed hard. After several questions, the woman said, "Okay, I found your account. How can I help?" My account? I echoed. What account? I didn't open anything. The woman hesitated. The $45,000 personal loan you applied for last year? My what? She repeated, carefully. The personal loan opened under your name. You've made payments for 11 months, but the last 2 were missed. My stomach twisted in on itself. I never applied for a loan, I said. Ever. Silence. Then. Ma'am, the paperwork includes your full name, your address, your social security number, your employer, and your signature. My signature? That's impossible. She paused again, then lowered her voice. Ma'am. Between us? This happens more than you think. It's usually a family member. A chill shot down my spine. Family member? No. No. There was no way. My parents weren't perfect. Emotionally distant? Sure. Financially messy? Sometimes. Overly pushy? Yeah. But they wouldn't. My chest tightened. Would they? Before I could ask more questions, she said. We can send you the original application file. Should we use the email on file? Yes, I said quickly. Please. Within seconds, my inbox pinged. And when I opened the file, everything inside shattered me. The PDF that changed everything. The first page included a scanned signature. My name, written in handwriting that looked similar to mine. But not mine. Too loopy. Too wide. Too rushed. Then the next page. Co-signed by Mark and Linda Harris. My parents. My parents' names on MY loan. My breath caught. My skin prickled. My vision blurred. Page after page, I saw. Heavy checkmark my social security number. Heavy checkmark my old pay stubs, which I had only ever given to one person, my mother. Heavy checkmark my previous address. Heavy checkmark my employer info. Heavy checkmark my driver's license number. The last piece? A photo of my ID. An actual copy. I didn't remember giving this to anybody recently. Except My mother had asked for it a year ago, for hospital paperwork. I had believed her. Trusted her. And now? That trust was a weapon. One she had used to destroy my financial life. I felt dizzy. My own parents had taken out a $45,000 loan under my name. And didn't tell me. Not once. Not even casually. Not even during family dinners. Not even as a hint. Not even in a slip-up. Nothing. They had kept it secret for an entire year. And now the payments were falling behind. Meaning, they had stopped paying the loan they took out. And the bank came after me. Suddenly, I felt sick. I dialed my mother. She answered on the second ring. "Hi, sweetheart. I was just about to call you." "Mom," I said, voice shaking. "Did you use my name to take out a $45,000 loan?" Silence. Not confusion. Not shock. Silence. Dead. Flat. Guilty. Then she spoke. "You need to come over." "No. Answer me. Did you do it? Come. Over." Her tone had changed. It wasn't warm. It wasn't motherly. It was cold. Commanding. As if I had no right to question her. I went anyway. I needed answers. The house that held the truth. When I walked into my parents' house, they were both sitting at the kitchen table. Waiting for me. Like a meeting. A staged intervention, except I was the one being confronted. My father began. "You got the letter," he said calmly. It wasn't a question. "Yes," I said. "And I got the application. You used my name." Dad nodded once. No guilt. No apology. Just a nod. Mom added. "We knew you'd find out eventually." My blood went cold. "Why?" I whispered. "Why would you do this to me?" Mom sighed dramatically. "We didn't do it to you, sweetheart. We did it for the family." For the family? I shouted. "That loan was used to help with renovations," Dad said, shrugging. "And medical bills. And utilities. And food." I stared at them. "You needed money. And instead of applying yourselves, you used my name?" Mom rolled her eyes. "We wouldn't have been approved. Your credit is better. My credit that you are now destroying." Dad slammed his palm on the table. "You watch your tone." I felt a tear slide down my cheek. "How could you steal my identity? How could you forge my signature? How could you put me in debt without telling me?" Dad leaned back, unbothered. "You're our daughter," he said. "Sometimes kids need to give back." I froze. "Give back? Give back?" I whispered. Mom nodded. "You're 25. It's time you contribute. We raised you. We fed you. We paid for everything. You can help us now," Dad said. "It's your turn." I felt the room tilt. My breathing grew uneven. Then Dad added the line. "That changed everything. Besides, the bank won't care who pays, as long as it gets paid." My heart thudded painfully. "You expect me to pay the $45,000 you borrowed?" Dad shrugged. "You're young. You'll recover." "We won't." Mom nodded in agreement. "We've done enough for you. Now it's your turn to support us." I backed away slowly, staring at the two people I once believed loved me. Two people who saw me not as a daughter, but as a financial tool. An asset. A credit score. A bank account. Something inside me hardened. This wasn't a mistake. This wasn't poor judgment. This was intentional. planned, manipulative, cruel. And they thought I was trapped. But they were wrong. So wrong. Because what they didn't know? I had already contacted a lawyer. And I was about to burn their entire scheme to the ground. The financial trail they never expected me to find. When parents use their child's identity, it's not a mistake. It's a strategy. Backhand index pointing right asterisk subscribe. This chapter reveals the second betrayal hidden behind the loan. When I walked out of my parents' house that night, I wasn't just hurt. I was numb. Cold. Frozen with disbelief. My mother's words kept replaying in my head. We raised you. Now it's your turn to give back. Give back? I worked 2 jobs. I paid my own rent. I bought my own groceries. I never asked them for a single dollar after turning 19. And somehow, that made me the family ATM? The scapegoat? The financial sacrifice? They wanted me to suffer quietly. Pay quietly. Carry their debt quietly. But what they didn't expect was that I would fight. The lawyer visit. I arrived at Ms. Harding's office the next morning. With the loan documents printed, highlighted, and shaking in my hands. She skimmed through the first 3 pages. And her eyebrows shot up so fast. I thought they'd fly off her face. Oh boy, she whispered. This is not subtle. What does that mean? I asked. It means your parents didn't even try to hide the fraud. They signed your name in a different handwriting. They submitted pay stubs that were obviously photocopied. And this. She tapped the application. This is your mother's handwriting. Not yours. I nodded. I know. Good, she said. This will help. She flipped to the last page. Here's the real kicker. They listed their own address for the loan notifications. Which means. Her eyes darkened. They never planned to tell you. My stomach dropped. So what do I do? She didn't hesitate. You file an identity theft claim. Immediately. My breath caught. Against my parents? Yes, she said firmly. Because that's what this is. Identity theft. Financial fraud. Loan fraud. She leaned forward. And if you don't file now, the bank will hold you responsible. And $45,000 will turn into $60,000 with interest. Then $70,000. I swallowed. And my credit? She exhaled. It will take years to recover. Unless we act fast. My heart thudded. She handed me a pen. Sign here to authorize the investigation. My hand trembled. Signing meant consequences. Legal consequences. For my own parents. But they had already made their choice. They didn't care if I drowned. And so. I signed. The credit report that revealed everything. Now, she said. We pull your credit report. I wasn't prepared for what came next. The report loaded on her screen. Her eyes widened. Leah. They didn't just take out a loan. My heart stopped. What? She scrolled. There are 3 accounts in your name. My pulse went wild. What accounts? 2 department store credit cards. One opened a year ago. The second 4 months ago. No. No. That can't be. She clicked again. And a personal line of credit for $9,000. My world tilted. I felt like I couldn't breathe. My parents didn't just take $45,000. They used my identity multiple times. They used me. Repeatedly. Systematically. Leah, she whispered. Voice softening. This is a pattern. I pressed my hand over my mouth, shaking. My mom said. It was time I gave back. Miss Harding locked eyes with me. That wasn't a request. That was a justification. She leaned back. They believe you owe them. They believe they're entitled to your financial life. I blinked tears away. Why didn't they ask me? Why didn't they tell me? Her voice was calm but firm. Because if they asked, you could say no. The words cut deep. Because they were true. My parents didn't want my permission. They wanted my identity. The ugliest discovery, the bank records. Let's check something else, Miss Harding said. She clicked into the loan's payment history. And the truth punched me in the chest. All payment transactions came from my mother's checking account. And then the payments stopped. The moment my mother quit her job to take a break. They had taken money they didn't have, using my name, and then stopped paying. Because they wanted to relax financially. My vision blurred with rage. Why would they think this is okay? Miss Harding shrugged sadly. Because you've always been the responsible one. The quiet one. The easy one. Easy? I choked. They assumed you wouldn't fight back. She closed the laptop. You need to confront them. Not emotionally. Not angrily. Strategically. The confrontation, round 2. I drove to their house. This time, I wasn't scared. I was prepared. I walked through the door. And Mom and Dad were at the table again. Like they were waiting for their accountant. Dad spoke first. Have you calmed down? Calmed down? Calmed down? I pulled the printed credit report from my bag. And tossed it onto the table. Mom reached for it. And her face fell apart. She gasped. She looked at Dad. He froze. You opened store cards in my name. A line of credit. My voice broke. And a $45,000 loan. Mom tried to fake innocence. Honey, we needed. No, I snapped. You don't get to honey me. Dad stood. You will not speak to your mother like. Like what? I yelled. Like the woman who stole my identity? Or the woman who forged my signature? Or the woman who used my credit because hers was too bad? Mom flinched. Leah, please. Families share responsibilities. Not my credit score. Dad scoffed. You're being dramatic. We'll pay it off eventually. No, you won't, I said. You stopped paying 2 months ago. Dad stiffened. How did you know that? I talked to the lawyer. The air froze. Mom's eyes widened in horror. You got a lawyer? Yes. Dad exploded. How dare you involve an outsider? This is family business. I stepped closer. No. This is criminal business. And I'm done pretending it's normal. Mom's voice cracked. We are your parents. And I am your daughter, I whispered. Not your bank account. Dad's voice turned ice cold. You're going to regret this. Am I? I asked quietly. Because the identity theft claim has already been filed. Mom gasped loudly. Her hand flew to her mouth. Dad stared at me like I just stabbed him. You. What did you do? I leaned in. I protected myself. Something you should have done for me. The shift, Aaron gets involved. Suddenly, the front door opened. My older sister, Emily, walked in. A character not introduced earlier, now part of the twist. What's going on? Mom called me crying. She stopped when she saw me. Then saw the papers. Then saw Mom's face. Dad muttered. Your sister is trying to ruin us. Emily grabbed the report. Read it. Her jaw dropped. Mom. Dad. What is this? Dad tried to regain control. It's a misunderstanding. It's identity theft. Emily yelled. Mom broke down sobbing. We were desperate. We needed help. She owes us. She owes you nothing. Emily snapped. What you did is illegal. Dad's face twisted. So you're taking her side? Emily stepped beside me. Yes, she said. Because she's the only one acting like family. My heart tightened. For the first time in years. My sibling chose me. Dad's face flushed with rage. You're both ungrateful brats. No, Emily said. We're done being used. Mom fell into a chair, sobbing harder. Dad collapsed beside her, holding his head in his hands. They looked small. Weak. Exposed. Not because I betrayed them. But because their lies finally caught up. Their fear wasn't losing me. Their fear was losing control of me. But now, I was out of reach. And they knew it. The final blow of part 2. I looked at them one last time. You didn't raise a daughter, I said softly. You raised a backup plan. Mom sobbed harder. Dad stared blankly. I'm done being your financial safety net. I walked out the door. Emily following behind me. And as the door slammed shut behind us, I realized something powerful. This wasn't about money anymore. It was about freedom. And I was finally taking mine back. The investigation that uncovered everything they hid. Identity theft doesn't start with paperwork. It starts with entitlement. Backhand index pointing right * subscribe, because in this chapter, everything unravels fast. The next 48 hours were a blur of adrenaline, anxiety, and cold, hard truth. The identity theft claim was filed. My lawyer had the paperwork. The bank had been notified. And my parents. They were spiraling. But the worst wasn't behind me. It was still coming. Because the deeper the investigation went, the more horrifying the truth became. This wasn't an accident. This wasn't a moment of desperation. This wasn't a one-time mistake. This was a pattern. An operation. A system my parents had constructed using my identity as the foundation. The email from the bank. Early the next morning, I received an email marked urgent. From Golden Creek Financial. I opened it immediately. We have reviewed your identity theft claim. We require an in-person meeting to go over your file. We have found multiple inconsistencies in the loan application. Multiple inconsistencies. I grabbed my keys, texted Emily, and drove straight to the bank. The whole time, I felt like I was being crushed from the inside. What else had they done with my name? What else was waiting to be uncovered? My stomach twisted. But I wasn't alone. Emily met me in the parking lot. You ready? She asked gently. No, I whispered. But let's do this anyway. The bank meeting, the first shock. The banker, Mr. Lawson, ushered us into a private office. He looked serious, tired, and very aware of what he was about to say. Ms. Harris, he began. We've reviewed your claim and the documentation submitted. We have strong reason to believe the loan was obtained fraudulently. My hands shook. Then why did it get approved? I asked. He hesitated. Because your parents came in person. I froze. In person? He nodded. They brought your social security card. Your pay stubs. A photocopy of your ID. My heart dropped into my stomach. Did they bring me? I asked. He shook his head. No. You weren't present. That should have been a red flag. It should have, he said, shoulders sagging. But they insisted you couldn't come due to work. They claimed they were acting as your authorized representatives. I never authorized anything. We know that now. He opened a folder. We compared your real signature from DMV records to the signature on the loan application. He flipped the paper toward me. The signature on the loan? Not even close to mine. We may have approved the loan, he said softly. But we can clearly see now that the signature was forged. Emily squeezed my hand. I felt numb. Is that all? I whispered. He swallowed. No. He slid another document toward me. My blood ran cold. Another account. Another loan. This one was for $12,500. I nearly choked. This isn't mine. We know, he said. This is also under investigation. Emily exploded. How many times did they do this to her? He cleared his throat. At least twice with our bank. My vision blurred. And with other banks? He paused. We're still checking. My breathing stopped. It felt like the ground beneath me was collapsing. The second betrayal, the line of credit. The banker continued. We also discovered that the personal line of credit you reported, the $9,000 one, was opened with a video verification. My eyes widened. A what? It's a process where the applicant verifies their identity over video. But I never did that. He nodded. We reviewed the footage. My heart thudded painfully. Show me, I whispered. He turned his monitor. And there it was. A blurry, low-quality video of my mother. Not me. Wearing a baseball cap. Sitting close to the camera. Tilting her head down. Speaking softly. The banker clicked play. Hi, I'm Leah, she said. I approve this account. It wasn't even a good impersonation. But it had worked. Emily gasped. That's a MOM. I sat frozen, staring at the screen. My own mother had pretended to be me. On a video call. To open a credit line in my name. The betrayal knocked the wind out of me. Not because she lied. But because she believed. She was entitled. To my identity. My name. My credit. My future. The banker sighed heavily. We're gathering everything for law enforcement. Your identity theft case has been escalated. To a criminal investigation. A criminal investigation. Against my parents. My throat tightened. I didn't think it would go this far. He shook his head. It needs to. This is not a mistake. This is a pattern of fraud. Emily placed a hand on my shoulder. Leah, she said softly. You didn't do this. They did. The call I never expected. That night. I received a call from an unknown number. I answered cautiously. Hello? A female voice responded. Is this Leah Harris? Yes. This is Officer Ramirez with the Financial Crimes Unit. We received your identity theft documents from Golden Creek Financial. I swallowed hard. We need to speak with you in person, she said. There are more accounts we need to go over. My heart dropped. More accounts? I whispered. Yes, she said. Anne. We also need to speak with your parents. I felt sick. This is now an active criminal case, she added. Emily, sitting across from me, froze when I repeated the words. Active criminal case. Then Officer Ramirez added something that made my blood run cold. We have reason to believe the fraud extends back several years. Several years? The floor dipped beneath me. What does that mean? I whispered. We'll discuss that tomorrow, she said. Please bring every document you have. I hung up and sat in silence. Emily looked terrified. What does she mean, several years? She asked. I shook my head slowly. I don't know. But the truth was forming in my mind like poison. My parents didn't use my name once. Or twice. Or even 3 times. They had been doing this for years. Using me. Stealing from me. Building a financial life under my identity. And the worst part? I never noticed. Because I trusted them. Mom, 3:44 a.m. This will ruin everything. Please stop. Dad, 5:12 a.m. If you involve the police, we will not forgive you. Mom, 6:02 a.m. Why are you doing this to us? The irony made me sick. What they did to me wasn't even acknowledged. To them, I wasn't a victim. I was a tool that finally broke. The Financial Crimes Office. At 9 a.m. sharp. Emily and I walked into the Financial Crimes Unit. Detective Ramirez met us in the lobby. Short, sharp-eyed, and radiating "don't waste my time" energy. Leah, she said. This way. We followed her into a small room with a table, 3 chairs, and a massive stack of papers. I froze. Are those all mine? I whispered. Detective Ramirez nodded. Yes. These are all documents associated with accounts opened under your identity. My stomach twisted. How many are there? She flipped the top page. There are 11. Emily gasped. I felt my soul leave my body. 11? I knew about 4. $45,000 loan. $12,500 loan. $9,000 credit line. 2 department cards. That was already too much. But 11. What are the others? I whispered. Detective Ramirez pulled out a list. And the world spun. The full list of accounts. She read them slowly. $45,000 personal loan. $12,500 personal loan. $9,000 credit line. $3,200 furniture account. $1,800 electronic store card. $2,100 medical financing account opened in your name. $650 online retail credit account. $900 emergency loan. $5,000 credit card from another bank. 2 department store cards. My vision blurred. That's my entire financial identity, I whispered. Not anymore, she said. We'll take it back. I shook my head, nauseated. And they opened these for years? Yes, Ramirez said. Your parents started when you were 20. 20. That was 5 years ago. They had been stealing my identity. Since before I even graduated college. Emily clenched her fists. I cannot believe they did this to you. Detective Ramirez continued. And here's the worst part. I swallowed. What's worse? She turned a page and slid a photo toward me. My mother. Standing inside a bank. Talking to a teller. Handing over a paper. What's she doing? I whispered. Transferring a balance from your credit to hers, the detective said. She used your credit to pay off her own debt. I stared. I couldn't think. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't even process. She hadn't just used my name. She used my identity. To erase her mistakes. My credit score was her personal trash can. The legal weight of it all. Detective Ramirez leaned forward. Leah. This isn't a family dispute. This isn't a misunderstanding. This is a systematic identity theft operation. My hands trembled. Your parents committed financial fraud, identity theft, forgery, false representation, wire fraud, Loan fraud. Medical financing fraud. Unauthorized use of a government ID. Possibly tax fraud. Emily's jaw dropped. I stared at the table. We will be visiting them today, Detective Ramirez said. My stomach flipped. Visiting my parents? Yes. To inform them of the investigation. And request their side of events. Emily scoffed. They're going to lie. Detective Ramirez didn't blink. People always lie in the beginning. But the documents don't. She stood. Let's go. My pulse raced. I have to be there. No, she said. You don't have to be. But it would help. I looked at Emily. She nodded. We're going. The drive to the house. The ride was silent. Not awkward silent. Storm before impact silent. Detectives in the lead car. Us following in mine. As we pulled up, I saw my father through the window. Pacing. Stopping. Pacing again. Mom sat at the dining table. Head in her hands. They were waiting for me. They weren't expecting detectives. The knock. Detective Ramirez approached the door and knocked firmly. Mom opened it. Her face went pale. Her eyes widened. Her lips trembled. Who are you? Financial Crimes Unit, Ramirez said calmly. We need to speak with you and your husband. Mom stepped back like she'd been slapped. I don't understand. Why are you here? Dad stormed over. This is harassment. We already explained everything to our daughter. Detective Ramirez held up a file. This is not about your daughter. This is about 11 counts of fraud. Committed under her SSN. Dad's mouth snapped shut. Mom swayed. That's not possible. We didn't. We would never. The detective opened the folder. And then? She pulled out the video. The one of my mother pretending to be me. Mom collapsed into a chair. That's not. Detective Ramirez didn't let her finish. And this, she said, sliding another paper forward, is the forged signature your husband submitted. My father's face turned crimson. That's. We were under pressure. Financial pressure does not justify identity theft. Mom burst into tears. Dad glared at me. You did this. You brought them here. You're destroying your own family. I stepped forward. No, I said quietly. You destroyed it the day you stole my name. Mom sobbed harder. Emily, standing beside me, whispered. Keep going. Don't let them guilt you. Detective Ramirez addressed my parents again. This is now an ongoing criminal investigation. You are not under arrest today. But you are under formal review. You will receive notices. For statements, questioning. And potential charges. Mom whimpered. Dad slammed his fist on the table. This is insane. No, Ramirez said. It's justice. The moment everything broke. Mom lifted her head, mascara streaked. You're our daughter, she cried. We did this for you. You don't understand. We needed you. We deserve your help. You owe us. Her voice cracked. We took care of you for years. And this is how you repay us? I stared at her. For the first time. I felt no guilt. None. You didn't raise a daughter, I said softly. They looked up. You raised a source of income. Dad's face contorted. You ungrateful little. No, I said firmly. I'm done being your credit line. Your financial backup plan. Your safety net. Detective Ramirez stepped between us. This conversation is over. She handed them paperwork. They didn't even look at it. Because the truth was spilling across the room like gasoline. Their lies were burning. And I was the match. The aftermath. As we walked out of the house, Emily grabbed my hand. "You did the right thing," she whispered. Detective Ramirez nodded. "You took back your identity. We'll take it from here." I exhaled shakily. Because for the first time in a long time, I felt safe. Not because the danger was gone, but because the truth was finally bigger than their manipulation. And because the law was finally on MY's side. But the story wasn't over. The real twist was still waiting. Because the next day, my parents made a move. So desperate. So manipulative. So unbelievable. That it changed everything. The retaliation that pushed everything into criminal court. When guilty people panic, they don't get smarter. They get louder. And much, much more dangerous. Backhand index pointing right * subscribe, because this chapter is explosive. The day after the detectives came to my parents' house, I naively thought the storm had peaked. That things would calm down. That my parents would finally realize the gravity of what they'd done. That they might apologize. Beg. Cry. Do something human. Instead, they doubled down. They escalated. And they crossed a line so catastrophic that even the detectives were stunned. The retaliatory message. It began with a text from my father. Not remorseful. Not scared. Not even angry. But threatening. "Dad. If you think the bank is the only one who can make your life difficult, you're wrong." I stared at the screen. Emily, reading over my shoulder, whispered, "What is that supposed to mean?" Then another message came. "Dad. We know things about you. We can talk to your job. We can talk to your landlord. We can talk to your future employers." My heart hammered. Was he seriously threatening to destroy my life? Because I exposed his crimes? Before I could respond, a third message came. "Dad. You owe us. And you will not ruin us for no reason." Emily's jaw tightened. "Oh, he's losing it." I didn't respond. I forwarded the messages directly to Detective Ramirez. Within 2 minutes, she replied. "Detective Ramirez. Keep all communications. Do not engage. This is now documented harassment." The house visit, round 2. That afternoon, my parents tried to show up at my apartment. Tried. Because I didn't open the door. Dad pounded on it so violently. The neighbor peeked out. "Leah," he shouted. "Come out here right now." Mom sobbed dramatically. "Please open the door. Please. We need to talk." Emily whispered. "Do not open it." I didn't. After 10 minutes of yelling, banging, crying, and threatening, they finally gave up. But the danger wasn't over. Not even close. The petty move that backfired hard. 2 days later, I received a voicemail from my manager. "Hey, Leah. I received a strange call today. We need to talk." My blood ran cold. I called her immediately. "My parents called you, didn't they?" I asked quietly. She sighed. "Yes. Your father called HR. He said you were mentally unstable, making up lies, and we're about to face legal trouble." My hand shook. "He what?" "He tried to get you written up. Fired. Something." I covered my mouth. I felt sick. Nauseous. Betrayed all over again. But then she added. "We recorded everything. We also contacted the police. You're safe, Leah. His attempt to sabotage your job is now part of the case. Emily whispered sharply. They just committed retaliation. Detective Ramirez confirmed it. Dad had escalated the case. From financial fraud to harassment to attempted employment sabotage. And that crossed the line into criminal retaliation. The DA gets involved. The next day, I received a call I never expected. District Attorney's Office. Ms. Harris, a serious voice said. This is Assistant DA Collins. We've reviewed the case forwarded by the Financial Crimes Unit. This is no longer a simple identity theft situation. I swallowed. It's not. No, she said. The retaliation escalated it. Your father's attempts to interfere with your employment, combined with his threatening messages, constitute new criminal offenses. My knees felt weak. What does that mean? It means, the DA said, we are preparing to file charges. I sat down slowly. Against both my parents? Your mother for the fraud. Your father for the fraud and retaliation. I pressed a hand against my forehead. I never wanted it to go this far. Yes, she said gently. That's what every victim of family fraud says. But they made it go this far. Not you. I blinked tears away. She continued. We need you available for questioning this week. We will also be serving your parents a court summons. The words hit like a hammer. A court summons. My parents were officially facing criminal charges. And they had no idea yet. The most desperate move of all. That night, I received a message from my mother. It wasn't an apology. It wasn't even rational. It was pure emotional manipulation. The kind designed to break people. Mom. If we go to jail, it will be your fault. I stared at it. I didn't cry. I didn't shake. I didn't crumble. I just felt tired. So tired. And disgusted. Because even now, even with evidence, detectives, bank investigations, and the DA involved, she still blamed me. Emily muttered. For people who spent years stealing your identity, they sure love pretending they're the victims. I didn't respond. Because the next message was worse. Mom. If you love us, you'll drop this. I exhaled slowly. If I love them? Love? What love? Love isn't theft. Love isn't forgery. Love isn't manipulation. Love isn't using your child as a financial puppet. Love isn't calling your boss to get you fired. Emily grabbed my phone. You're not answering this. Not now. Not ever. And she was right. They weren't reaching out for reconciliation. They were reaching out for control. The detective's visit, round 2. The following morning, Detective Ramirez called again. I need you to stay home, she said. We're going to serve the summons. Today? I whispered. Yes. Your parents will receive notice of identity theft charges. Notice of loan fraud charges. Notice of criminal retaliation investigation. I held my breath. And Leah. I braced myself. They've proven they don't handle accountability well. Be prepared for backlash. And then she hung up. The summons delivery. I didn't see it happen. But Emily did. She looked out the window and whispered. They're here. A black county car pulled up at my parents' house. 2 officers stepped out. 1 detective. They knocked on the door. My father answered. At first, he looked puzzled. Then confused. Then furious. Then terrified. Mom appeared in the doorway behind him. crying before she even knew what the papers said. The detective spoke calmly. Dad yelled. A lot. Mom begged. A lot. The officers didn't flinch. They handed over the paperwork. And then I saw something I never thought I would witness in my lifetime. My father sank to his knees, screaming at the sky, gripping his hair, crying out like a man who realized his empire of lies had finally collapsed. Mom grabbed the papers with shaking hands, her face twisted in horror as she read the charges. Fraud, forgery, financial identity theft, unauthorized use of federal identification, retaliation. She stumbled backward, falling onto the couch. The officers left. The detective left. My parents were alone. And for the first time. So small. The call they never expected. My mother called. I didn't answer. Then she texted. Mom. You're killing us. Mom. We'll lose everything. Mom. We're your family. And then the final message. Mom. How could you betray us like this? Emily took my phone gently. You didn't betray them, she said quietly. They betrayed you. And for the first time in my life, I believed it. This wasn't revenge. This was justice. And they had created every second of it. But the story isn't done. Because in part 6, the court date arrives. The truth is exposed publicly. And the judge delivers a verdict. That changes every relationship forever. The verdict that changed everything. Some parents teach their children to lie. Others teach them to survive. Mine taught me what justice feels like. Backhand index pointing right asterisk subscribe, because this ending is powerful. Everything moved quickly after the summons. Detectives gathered more evidence. Banks sent official statements confirming fraud. The DA collected documents, interviews, and video clips. My employer provided a written report of my father's retaliatory call. And my credit report was fully audited by 3 agencies. For the first time in 5 years. My entire financial life made sense. Not because I understood it. But because I finally saw the people who wrecked it. My own parents. The court date. 2 months later. We stood in a chilly courtroom. With polished floors and unforgiving lights. I sat with Emily beside me. My lawyer, Miss Harding, was calm, focused, unreadable. On the other side of the room sat my parents. My mother looked small. Fragile. Makeup thick enough to look like armor. But already cracking under tears. My father looked furious. Red. Ashamed. Cornered. He glared at me. The way a man glares at someone who ruined his perfect narrative. As if I was the villain. The judge entered. Everyone rose. Then the hearing began. The prosecution's case. The DA went first. She laid everything out cleanly, factually, devastatingly. The forged applications. The photocopied pay stubs. The fake video verification. The 11 fraudulent accounts. The misuse of medical financing. The employment retaliation. The threatening texts. The bank statements. The signature comparisons. The timeline of fraud spanning 5 years. Every document was displayed on a screen. Every forgery highlighted. Every transaction explained. The courtroom was silent. The kind of silence that comes when a truth is too heavy to breathe around. The DA spoke calmly. Your Honor, this is not a one-time lapse of judgment. This is a calculated pattern of identity theft and financial exploitation. Conducted by 2 parents against their daughter. My mother sobbed into her tissue. My father clenched his fists. The DA continued. They destroyed her credit, stole her financial future, attempted to sabotage her employment, and used manipulation and intimidation to keep her silent. Then she turned toward me. Ms. Harris has spent years unknowingly paying the cost of her parents' wrongdoing. Today, we ask that the court return that cost to the ones who created it. I swallowed hard. Emily squeezed my hand. My parents' defense, and their collapse. Their lawyer stood. He tried. He really did. But every argument collapsed under the weight of evidence. They were under financial distress. They believed she would help. They didn't understand the process. They thought they had her consent. The judge cut him off. Are you suggesting your clients believed their daughter consented to 5 years of secret fraud involving 11 financial institutions? Their lawyer stammered. My father snapped. We raised her, he shouted. We paid for her childhood. We have a right to ask for help. The judge's eyes hardened. Help is asked for, not stolen. My mother choked out. She wasn't supposed to find out. We were going to pay it back eventually. The DA replied coldly. You stopped paying the loans 2 months ago. To take a break. Mom's face broke. Dad shouted. She owes us. Children owe their parents. The judge leaned forward. No one owes you the right to commit a felony. Dad fell silent. The room felt colder than ever. My turn to speak. The judge looked at me. Ms. Harris, would you like to make a statement before I deliver the verdict? My throat tightened. But I stood. And I spoke. My parents didn't come to me when they were struggling. They didn't ask for help. They didn't tell me the truth. I paused. They took my identity, my credit, my financial future. They decided I owed them my life. Because they gave me one. My voice shook. For years I wondered why my credit score was dropping. Why I couldn't get approved for anything. Why job applications were harder. Why bank cards denied me. I swallowed hard. I blamed myself. I thought I was failing. I looked directly at my parents. You let me believe that. Mom broke into tears. Dad looked away. Emily squeezed my hand tighter. I'm not here for revenge, I said. I'm here for protection. For my future. For closure. I took a breath. And because I deserve a life. You don't get to control anymore. The judge nodded. Thank you, Ms. Harris. I sat. The room held its breath. The verdict. The judge lifted the file. He spoke clearly and firmly. Mark and Linda Harris. This court finds you. My heart slammed inside my chest. Guilty. Of identity theft. Fraudulent loan acquisition. Forgery. Unauthorized use of federal identification. And criminal retaliation. Mom broke down sobbing. Dad's jaw dropped open. The judge wasn't done. You will repay all fraudulent amounts. Cover all fees, fines, and restitution. Compensate your daughter for damages. Attend mandatory financial responsibility courses. Avoid any contact with your daughter outside legal channels. Mom gasped. No contact, she cried. She's our daughter. The judge's tone sharpened. You abused that relationship. You do not get to weaponize it further. Then the final blow. Your suspended sentence will include supervised probation. Any further harassment will result in jail time. My parents froze. Probation. Conviction. Financial ruin. Everything they used me to avoid had become their reality. After court, the final break. Outside the courtroom. My parents approached me. Not with remorse. Not with understanding. With desperation. "Leah," Mom cried. "You can fix this. You can tell them you forgive us. We can appeal. Please." Dad grabbed my arm. "You ruined us. You chose them over your family." I stepped back. Emily stepped forward. And then, Detective Ramirez appeared beside us. She lifted a hand. "Back away," she warned. "Contact is prohibited." Dad glared at her. "We're her parents." "You're convicted offenders," she replied calmly. Mom sobbed harder. Dad shook with rage. They looked so small. So powerless. So unfamiliar. Like strangers wearing the faces of people I once loved. I turned to Emily. "I'm done," I whispered. And I walked away. For the first time. I didn't look back. The real revenge. In the months that followed. Heavy checkmark, my credit was repaired. Heavy checkmark, the loans were removed. Heavy checkmark, every fraudulent account was closed. Heavy checkmark, I received restitution payments. Heavy checkmark, my parents' financial control over me was over forever. Heavy checkmark, the family saw the truth. Heavy checkmark, and most importantly, I rebuilt my life. Without their shadows. Emily and I grew closer. I learned boundaries. I learned strength. I learned that blood doesn't excuse betrayal. And I learned something powerful. Revenge isn't about hurting them. Revenge is about protecting yourself. From the people who already have, ***. My parents used my name to build debt. I used the law to take my name back. They stole my identity. I reclaimed my life. And that's the ending I deserved.